Here's the thing. Getting to your first million is only about 20% cash game. The rest is focus and strategy. It doesn't feel that way when you're sitting at 20K staring at how far you have to go. But the path isn't linear and it's a lot faster than it looks. Once you reach your first 100,000, you're already 30% of the way there. And the rest comes from knowing where to put your time, your energy, and your money so that they all start compounding. So if I had to start from scratch today, here are the 5 key things I'd focus on to reach that goal faster. Number 1, I would build my earning power. Many of us grew up in middle-class households where money was tight, and the default response to wanting more was to spend less, save harder, and cut back. And while that instinct makes sense, that's not how you build wealth. Let's do the math. If you make the average US salary of $62,000 and save 10% of your paycheck, that's roughly $500 a month, it will take you 161 years to reach your first million. Even if you're investing that money in the stock market, it will take you over 30 years. And during that time, you'll be pinching pennies through the best decades of your life. That's not freedom, that's survival, and it's too long. I had to learn this very quickly when I got my first job out of college that paid me $30,000 a year. After taxes, deductions, paying my student loans, and all the bills, I had $30 left to budget for the rest of the month. There was nothing I could cut. And when I started missing credit card payments, I knew that something had to change. So I picked up a side job, bartending, to make quick money. And then I leaned really hard into my professional skill set and figured out what certifications and experience actually made me more valuable in project management. The next 2 jobs I got both doubled my income, and I went from making $30,000 a year to $100,000 in less than 3 years, all because I leveled up my skills and positioned myself for the next opportunity. The attention economy today makes it seem like the only way to make more money is to become an influencer or to start a business or to go viral, but you don't need audience to grow your income. It all comes down to thinking beyond the traditional advice. So ask yourself, can I position myself to make a career move that will land me a higher paying role in the next 6 months? Or what skill can I leverage to begin earning money outside of my 9 to 5? Or where can I invest my money to make it work harder than it already does? So before you cut another expense, take an honest look of how you can earn more money. The next thing is to learn income building skills and schedule them throughout the year. The job you're in has a ceiling, both in how much you can earn and in how much you can learn. Your income is capped by someone else's budget, and your learning is capped by a system that rewards repetition and not growth. In large organizations, roles are narrowly defined. You become one part of a much bigger system. And while the system continues to evolve to match the market, your role stays the same. This setup limits your growth and keeps your earning potential tied to a structure that rewards repetition and not growth. As a result, you miss out on developing the kinds of skills that are essential in today's economy, skills that increase your value and open up new income opportunities. So dedicate the rest of the year to learning how to operate in today's economy. Break it into 2-month sprints and focus on building high-value skills each sprint. In the first 2 months, learn how to package your knowledge into a digital offer. Today's economy runs on packaged solutions. Think wardrobe delivery services and meal kits and home organizing kits and personal training bundles. The same idea applies when you want to earn from your skill. If you're in a 9 to 5, you need to turn what you know into a clear, sellable offer, whether it's a digital product, a service, or a combination of both. Here's what that could look like. A tech professional selling a 4-week consulting package to help small businesses achieve a certain goal. A former recruiter selling a job search and interview prep bundle, or a graphic designer offering a brand refresh kits for businesses. People don't just pay for time anymore. They pay for outcomes. So package your skills around a problem people want solved. And you're not just selling a service, you're selling clarity, speed, and results. Spend the next 2 months learning copywriting and persuasion. These skills help you communicate the value of what you're offering and connect with the right audience. The next 2 months, figure out monetization routes. You don't have to rely solely on clients or hourly services to make money. Today, Income can come from brand partnerships, affiliate links, subscription models, digital downloads, sponsor content, and so much more. And the more you understand the way people earn online, the more creative and stable your business can become. The next 2 months, website building. Your website is your home base. That's where people learn about you, build trust, and decide whether or not to work with you. Even a simple site helps you look more credible and capture leads, and all without needing to have a social media platform. The next 2 months, learn data analytics so that you can understand how to read and interpret data so that you can then decide what to double down on and what to stop wasting time on. It keeps you from guessing and helps you prioritize what actually works. And then learn social platform advertising. Promotions look very different now. Whether you're selling your own offer, paying someone else to sell yours, or helping others sell theirs, learning how this works is essential in getting it seen by the right people. You don't have to be an influencer to make money today, but with these skills, even a simple consulting business offering one-on-one services to a client or organization can turn into multiple income streams. And these are not just online trends. They're the foundation of how business works now. The next thing to do is to say no to anything that doesn't match the life you're building. People online often make it seem like you can make $1 million overnight. In reality, it takes years. It's not something that happens by accident. You have to choose it and then continue choosing it. Once you commit to building income and aligning your skills with today's economy, time becomes your most valuable resource. You'll need to say yes to what supports that direction and no to nearly everything else. Refocusing like this can feel overwhelming at first, but if you look at the actual changes you're making and quantify what you're doing, the shift is not that bad. A few times a week, you spend 2 hours passively consuming content or watching TV can be repurposed into building something bigger that moves you forward financially. And it's not just about how we spend time, it's about what we spend time on, things that drain your energy, conversations that leave you with negativity hangover. Don't just steal your time during the conversation, but affect your mental space far beyond for days and even weeks. And when you're in a negative mental space, you won't be able to focus on making positive progress towards something better. The harder part is learning that just like you have to say no to all of the outside distractions, you're going to have to say no to many great ideas too. So even as you're expanding your skill set, you have to practice disciplined learning. Follow the path you've chosen and stay on that path. Filter every new idea through that lens. So many people start strong but then stall out. Not because they're lazy, but because they get pulled into too many ideas that feel exciting in the moment but aren't aligned with their goal. The next thing to focus on is action. When you get intentional with your goal, you naturally surround yourself with the right information, books, podcasts, people who align with your direction. And that's a good thing, especially in the beginning. You need to immerse yourself and learn a lot quickly. But eventually you hit a point of diminishing returns where more input doesn't necessarily mean more progress. It just feels safer to continue learning than actually taking the next step. Last summer, I decided to learn how to swim freestyle. I knew how to swim with my head above water, but I could never quite get the breathing under the water thing. I tried it on and off throughout the years and it never really stuck. I always felt panic and had the need to come up for air. So this time I watched a few YouTube videos on how to breathe, how to move your arms, and then I started practicing. And again, it was really rough at first. I could only do a couple of strokes until panic kicked in and I had to come up for air. I was so tempted to stop and go back to watching the videos to make sure that I didn't miss anything and that I was doing it right. But deep down, I knew I just had to keep going. After a month or two of swimming a couple times a week, it started to click. And not because I studied more or watched more videos, but because I just stuck with the process. And that's the point I'm trying to make. You can't learn how to swim if you don't get in the water. And you can't build income if you don't start moving. The moment you take action, everything shifts. You start writing real emails, talking to real people, testing real offers, and you're not just thinking about your ideas, you're seeing how they land. That's active learning. So start small with one clear action tied to what you're building. If you're offering consulting, find one client to work with, even if it's for free. If you're creating a digital product, outline one simple offer and build a landing page. If you're freelancing, pitch one potential client. If you're starting a content brand, post one piece of content. If you're teaching or coaching, offer one free session to a student. And the last part is work the plan until the plan starts to work. $1 million is a big goal, not impossible, but big. And when you're first starting out, it's very easy to feel discouraged because the gap from where you are to where you want to be just feels massive. You're putting in the effort, but the payoff still feels far away. And that's what most people don't tell you. People don't quit because they're failing. They quit because life is comfortable enough. You're still getting a paycheck. Your bills are still paid, and maybe there's a little room for fun. And when things aren't urgent, it's hard to keep choosing to work on something that isn't paying you yet. And that's the part where you have to get through. The stretch of time when you're learning, building, and showing up without applause, without income, is the quiet zone where most people give up. Not because they couldn't succeed, but because they stopped too soon. So if you want to hit a goal like 1 million, you have to make peace with that phase. You have to stay committed even when the payoff is slow, even when people around you don't understand why you keep doing it, and especially when good enough starts to feel tempting, because that's what happens next. At 20K, the mountain looks endless. But once you reach 100K, your first real capital, you're already 30% of the way there. From there, momentum builds faster. All the strategies, the habits, and the systems you've been putting in place start doing more of the heavy lifting and compounding. And here's the wild part. If your investments are growing at a regular market rate, the last 100K to reach $1 million can take less than a year, even if you don't add to it or don't touch it. That's how compounding works. It's invisible until it isn't. The beginning feels slow, and then suddenly everything accelerates. And I don't just mean money. It's all the hard work that you've been putting in up to that point. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment, and I'll see you next week.